السلام علي يوم ولدت ويوم أموت ويوم أبعث حيا. آمنت بالله صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم وسلم عليه. All praises of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator, controller of this entire cosmos and universe. And may the choicest blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon our Nabi, Nabiullah, Habibullah, Sarkar al-Madina, Ruh Hasina, Nabi al-Kareem, Rauf al-Rahim, Rahmatan lil-Alameen, Sayyid al-Mursaleen, Khatam al-Nabiyyin, Imam al-Anbiya, Ahmad al-Mujtaba, Muhammad al-Arbi, Muhammad Rasulullah, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallam. My respected elders and youngers, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. We're passing through an interesting sort of period of the year here in the United Kingdom where it's very festive. There's lots of celebrations going on, Christmas lights and Christmas trees and Christmas parties and games like Secret Santa and all these types of things are happening, right? All these types of festive type activities which are taking place. Now I'll mention this. Although officially Christmas Day is past, so somewhat some things may be sort of in the past, but it's important for us to know that the celebration of Christmas, firstly, it's something which is rooted in paganism, and this is proven. I don't want to make this about a Christmas lecture, but nevertheless, it's rooted in paganism, and it is a religious festival for the Christians. It is a religious festival for the Christians. The problem that we have, and the issue what we're finding is, Muslims are partaking in these celebrations. Now, it is haram to do so. It is haram to wish somebody Merry Christmas. It's haram to respond to somebody if they say Merry Christmas to you. It's haram, it's sinful, right? Because of the reasons that I've mentioned. It's not our festival. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha, right? To celebrate, right? We have many days, every Jum'ah, every day, every week, the day of Jum'ah. This is also a day of Eid. This is Yawm al-Eid. So a day of Eid for the Muslims, day of celebration, day of happiness, right? Day of Sada, right? So we need to remind ourselves what our position is in this respect, because some people think it's very harmless. My son, he's come with me today, and he witnessed to this. That the other day we was passing by a business, a very large restaurant actually in Manchester, and when we were passing by this restaurant, he knew it was a Muslim restaurant because we'd been there before. And he knew it was owned by Muslims, etc. Anyway, he says to me, he says, Dad, he says, isn't that a Muslim restaurant? And I said, yes, it is. And he said, why have they got Christmas trees and Christmas lights? What on earth are they doing? And I said to him, I goes, look, it's just the way it is sometimes. People do that. It's wrong, but they do that. They put these trees and things like this in celebration for the purposes of their customers. And the word is that he used to me. You know what he said to me in response? He said, sellouts. And he's 9 years of age. Allahu Akbar. This is the word he used, and he understood this. And let me tell you something. Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala, and he says this, and this comes in Imam Bayhaqi's book, right? And he says, stay away from the festivals of the enemies of Allah. Stay away. Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala, he said, why? Because the wrath of Allah descends upon them. The wrath of Allah descends upon them. So if you want to take pride that you're earning the wrath of Allah, now here's the thing. Now imagine you said Merry Christmas, haram, I mentioned to you, right? This is the fatwa given by the ulama. If you were to do a Christmas party in your house, or you were to become happy at the festivities of Christmas and enjoy the festivities of Christmas, this is kufr, this will lead you outside the fold of Islam. Fine distinction, sensitive, but a nazuk masla. Lekin, if you were to be happy about this, it will take you outside the fold of Islam. Now let me tell you something, going back to that business for a second. And this is also something that I explained to Muhammad Yahya. I said to him that, son, it's interesting to think that people, the reason why Muslim businesses are putting up Christmas trees, putting up Christmas messages, all this kind of festive stuff that they're doing, is to please their customers, right? Please their customers, all right? Because some of them, we know they don't take any interest in Christmas, but they've got these messages on, they've got a Christmas tree on. Why? Because they are wanting to please their customers. What they didn't understand, or what they missed, was you're trying to please these customers at the cost of Allah and His Rasul's religion, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Don't you know, these customers who you're trying to please, who sent them to your door? Who sent them your way? Who gave you rizq? Tell me something. Who brought them to you? It was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And now that same Allah, you are offending His laws, you are offending His Sharia. Why? Just so you can please some customers and put some smiles in. I didn't see them put Eid messages up. I didn't see them celebrating Eid with us. So why are you so interested in celebrating their festivals? The point that I'm giving here, this is not a political point, this is a religious point that I'm making. This is religion. And let me tell you something, if your children are bored, right, sure, look, listen, let me tell you something. I've been brought up in this country. I was born here, right? I know how festive this time of year is. The good movies, the good spirits, the holidays, everyone's really happy, there's colourful lights everywhere, and it's a break for everybody, right? But as Muslims, does this not mean we need to put more effort into Eid? As children, we were so excited about the festivities in this country. You go to places like Pakistan, go and look at Eid there. India, Bangladesh, you go and look at Eid there. It's absolutely amazing, it's beautiful there. But what effort are we as Muslims making here? Right? For our children, do we buy them presents on Eid? Do we? Apart from get together, some of us must do, inshallah, I'm sure some of us must do, mashallah. But the thing is, what I'm saying to you is, we need to make it more exciting for the children. We need to make it a time of festivity, apart from new clothes and new trainers and the rest of the day, everyone just sits around and eats. Do some activities as a family, right? Do something nice for them. Do something what the children will like as well, right? Even if it means you have to sit together and watch a child's movie with them at the end of the day with some popcorn, then do that. If that's what it's going to take to make it special for them, well, make that day special. This is a day of celebration. Those are the days of celebration for the Muslims. And we must remember this. We must remember this. And recently I went to a relative's house. It wasn't recently, it was a couple of years ago. Anyway, it feels recent. A couple of years ago, and in her house, I won't say who she was, in her house she had a small Christmas tree with lights on it and stuff like that. And I looked at her, what on earth? What are you doing? And that time of year was close to Eid Mawlid al-Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? The celebration of Mawlid. It was close to that. You know what she said to me? She goes, no, this isn't a Christmas tree. She goes, this is a Milad tree. She said, it's a Milad tree. I said, girl, it's rubbish. Come on, what are you talking about? You can't do, what are you going to do? Alcohol bottle there. What are you drinking alcohol for? No, this is not alcohol. This is Diet Pepsi. Astaghfirullah, na'udhu billah. You can't start if you're doing something, you can't give it another name and say, oh no, it's not that. I'm doing this, right? This is the way of the ignorant people, right? Yeah? You have to follow the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to, if we want to please Allah Rabbul Alameen, we have to follow in accordance with His law, right? Let me tell you something. When it comes to the hukum of Allah, when somebody gives you a hukum and tells you this is from the Quran or this is from the ahadith of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, let me tell you this advice. Lower your head like this, and don't reject, don't respond to, or don't in any way conflict with it or dispute it, because it's talk of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your ego, lower it, control it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it, my brother. If you challenge these things, you may commit kufr. You may leave the fold of Islam, because these are words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What's wrong with us as people? We lost our minds now, right? Anyway, recently I seen, we like to do our own marzi, zid. What we say goes, right? even in our families, on the 25th, because it's a bank holiday, everyone wants to get together. It's family day, get together. I said to some of my family members, I said, listen, if you do something on the 25th, firstly, why you have to do it on the 25th? Do it on the 26th. That's also a bank holiday or Boxing Day, whatever it is. I was off anyway, but alhamdulillah. I said, no, do it on the 26th. Why do they have to be on the 25th? And the other thing is, if anyone uses the word Christmas, if anyone wears a red top or anything like that, then I won't come, because it's against our religion. It's against what Allah teaches us. I said, I don't want my children to see these things, because these are not the celebrations that we want to encourage in our children. Today when we do this, tomorrow they will take it a step further. Then the full shebang, you'll see the Christmas trees and all the rest of it, they're dressed up like Santa and somebody at work said to me, why don't we do Secret Santa? I said, astaghfirullah, no, you can't do that. I work somewhere with somebody in their business, but I was saying you can't do that, this is haram. And she said, the lady who was working there, she said to me, she goes, what about if we call it Secret Sheikh? Look at the things of astaghfirullah people call. But it's true, they do come out with these things. I go, look, that's rubbish. I go, the coating, you may change the coat, but inside the flesh will still be Christmas. Alright, don't be stupid. I says, you can't do these things. Fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then you will see Allah's karam in your life. Now let me tell you something. So, a lot of Muslims, what do they say? They say, oh, we're celebrating the birth of Isa alayhi salam. That's what they say, right? We're celebrating the birth of Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. I said, do you celebrate the birth of Musa alayhi salam? Do you celebrate the birth of Ibrahim alayhi salam? Do you celebrate the birth of Nuh alayhi salam? No. Well, when did those birthdays take place? Don't know. So why do you have to celebrate the birthday? I'm not saying, that, of course, the day that any Prophet of Allah is born is a special day. It's a special day. But what I'm saying is, why are you specifically celebrating the birth of Isa alayhi salam, but no other? Let's just look at the Ulil Azm prophets, right? The Ulil Azm, the 5 great, right? The 5 great prophets of Allah. Why not, why just one from them, Isa alayhi salam? Or Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, 2 of them? Why not the other 3? It's a question, isn't it? The point is, you just want an excuse so you can celebrate Christmas, right? I go, listen, let me tell you first thing. The Muslims don't accept that Isa alayhi salam was born on the 25th of December. We don't accept that. According to reports of scholars and ulama, we say 10th of Muharram, right? There's dispute, but 10th of Muharram, this is what we say. Forget the Muslims, let me tell you something. Even in the Christian community, there's Christians who don't accept that it happened on the 25th of December. The Coptic Christians, the Egyptians, they're known as in Egypt you have a community known as the Coptic Christians. They celebrate Christmas in January. Did you know this? They celebrate it in January. So even they don't accept it was on the 25th of December, right? So if somebody says to you, oh, it's the birth of the Mawlid of Isa alayhi salam, look, that's fine, all good and well, but that's not even proven. If anything, in Islam, it rejects this idea of 25th of December, the birth of Isa alayhi salam. You can't even say that's incorrect. Now, coming to the actual birth of Isa alayhi salam, we know that this was a very, prestigious occasion. We know this is a very prestigious occasion because, look, when it comes to birthdays of the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have, and instead of, if people are passionate about Isa alayhi salatu wasalam and wanting to know about, and they use that as an excuse to celebrate Christmas, well, tell me what you know about the biography of Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. What do you know about his story? What do you know about his qissa in the Quran? Because he's mentioned many times in the Quran. Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. He's mentioned many times in the Quran. In fact, his whole family. The surah of his family, the name goes from Surah Ali Imran. Ali Imran is the family of Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. Hazrat Zakaria, the Prophet Zakaria alayhi salam, he was the first cousin of Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. Did you know this? The Prophet Yahya, the Prophet Yahya was his first cousin, who was around in the same time. And who was the father of Yahya alayhi salam? Who was the father of Yahya alayhi salam? Zakaria alayhi salam, yes. So Zakaria alayhi salam is the uncle of Prophet Isa alayhi salam. And the mother of Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam, Sayyidah Maryam alayhi salam. Amazing story. This is in the Quran. You should go back and revisit this. And these are the types of things during that time. If people want to know about Isa alayhi salam, then take advantage of it. Speak about the story of Isa alayhi salam. Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, when he's born, this is Surah Maryam, when he's in his life, sorry, what does he say? This is one famous verse of the Quran Kareem. He says, وَالسَّلَامُ عَلَيَّ يَوْمَ وَلِدْتُ وَيَوْمَ عَمُوتُ وَيَوْمَ أُبْعَثُ هَيَّا. Three things he says. He says, Salam upon me. Salam upon me. He makes dua for himself. This is a Prophet's dua here being recorded, stamped in the Quran. Who do you think put it in the Quran? Who do you think put it in the Quran? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? Now tell me something. Every single thing Isa said in his life, alayhi salam, is that in the Quran? Everything he said in his life from start to end, is it in the Quran? No. Everything, even Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the Quran is a book that come to him. But everything he said, was that in the Quran? No. Allah handpicks certain things that he wants to put in the Quran. Why? Because he wanted me and you to know about it. All the way to the end of time. He wants everybody to know about this. This certain dua that Isa alayhi salam said, he prayed for three things. He said, As-salam upon me. Who is salam? Allah is as-salam, right? Allah is peace, right? And when I say Assalamu alaykum to Hadith, I am saying salam of Allah be upon him, peace be upon him. So it's a very powerful dua, you must think about it. There's another thing that we don't do these days. You know the Sahaba, if they were walking and a bush came between them, or a tree came between them, when they came to the other side, they said Assalamu alaykum to each other. Even if they were together, when they would get separated by a tree or a bush, they would meet around the other end and say Assalamu alaykum. And this is dua for him and dua back. You know, you return the dua as well. It's very powerful. You know, you come downstairs and there's 10 family members out there. You say Assalamu alaikum and they say Wa alaikum assalam. 10 people make dua for you. Imagine that, start of your day. And you know, you live in a house where there's no salam. No salam. You come downstairs, why one, bro? What's happening? Or you don't say anything. You're depriving yourself. You're depriving yourself. You see? Anyway, so Isa alayhi salam makes this dua. He goes, Salam upon me. Yawma walidtu, the day that I was born. Yawma amutu, the day that I will pass away. Wa yawma ub'athu hayya, and the day that I will be resurrected again. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know on Facebook, right? Similar thing. I'm just trying to give you something so you understand I like this, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala certified this dua of Isa alayhi salam. And what do? He puts this in the Quran Kareem for us to see. So birthdays of prophets of Allah, these are not only special days, these are not only great days, but these are days Allah has acknowledged in the Quran Kareem. The dua of Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. And Isa alayhi salam, honestly his story is so long, it wouldn't be enough for one Jum'ah. But inshallah, Aziz, in the future Jum'ahs, maybe we'll go into this more about the Qissa of Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. Learn about his birth, his miraculous birth. When Sayyidah Maryam alayhi salam, she comes back to the people because she was away in this place where she delivered the child under a palm tree, a date palm, right? Bethlehem. It was close to Bethlehem, and even the Christians say this. And Bethlehem actually is Baytul Lahm, right? Bayt Lahm, which means the house of meat, by the way. That's what it actually, Bayt Lahm for the Arabs, if they don't know. It means Bayt means house, Lahm means meat. So the house of meat. Anyway, so she comes back and the people are astounded by this, you know, noble woman, Maryam alayhi salam. You know, and they're like, why, Salamun alayha, why is this lady, why is she carrying a child? Whose child is this? When they realize this child is her son, Isa alayhi salam, Allah had told her through the angels, don't say nothing. You don't say nothing. You don't say nothing. When the people ask you a question because they're very angry, where did you bring this child from? You're not married. Where did this come from? And she points at the child. Baby in his cradle, few weeks, few days maybe, few weeks old maybe. And he speaks to the people. He speaks as a baby. This baby wasn't any ordinary baby. This baby was the Prophet of Allah, Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. And what does he say? This is in the Quran. Surah Maryam verse 33, check this out. Oh, verse 30, apologies. Check this out. He says, Qala inni abdullah. He says, Atani yal kitaba wa ja'alani nabiyya. What does he say? He says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders him to speak. And he says, Inni Abdullah. He said, I am the servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's a baby. Everyone's witnessing this. Everyone's there. He says, I am the servant of Allah. He says, Atani al-kitab. He says, I was given a book. Ata yukti, was given a book. This is a siga of mazi. This is something that happened in the past. He says, I was given a book. Waja'alani nabiyya. He says, and I was made a nabi. Again, past tense being used. Waja'alani, I was made a nabi. This is a baby in his cradle saying, I was given a book. I was made a nabi. The people are shocked. The people leave Maryam alayhi salam alone. They're shocked by this. And I finish on this point, and I leave this for you to think about. And we plant this as a seed, inshallah. But listen to me. Isa alayhi salam, we know he in his life, he announced Nabuwwat at the age of 30, right? He announced Nabuwwat, Ilani Nabuwwat at the age of 30, or around about then. But here he's telling the people he is a Nabi. In his cradle, people say to me and you that Mustafa alayhi salam didn't know he was a prophet before age 40. Isa alayhi salam is telling you in his cradle that he knew he was a prophet when he was born. He's telling you at birth that he knew he was a prophet. Are you telling me his master, our master, Imamul Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam, didn't know he was a prophet before age 40? Is that what you're telling me? This is Quran I'm telling you. From Isa alayhi salam's story, from the Quran, Allah is presenting this to us. Prophets of Allah are not like me and you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made them above the people, far beyond our imaginations. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability and facility to learn about the stories of the Prophets of Allah, to teach our children about the stories of the Prophets, engage with the Quran. You know, when we engage with the Quran Kareem, wallahi, then you will see the barakah in your life, in every single respect, in your rizq, in your home, with your spouses, with your children, with your mamulat, with other things outside there. You will see barakah. Believe me, you will see barakah. This is the way and the nizam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us all. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينُ. Can I just mention, every week this happens, but now the whole crowd is here. The time for the sunnahs is given at this time. The rule is that when the Imam is giving the speech and talking about the Quran and Sunnah, one should listen and read the Sunnahs at the end, because that's why we have the allocated time, inshallah. What would you give? Sunnah.